Today we are going to discuss evolution within the One Piece world. In order to explain this, I think it's a good idea to start with the definition of evolution. Google has two different definitions listed. The first one, the process by which different kinds of living organisms are thought to have developed or diversified from earlier forms during the history of the Earth. Living organisms referring to plants, animals, and people. In the One Piece world, it would be all the other different race variations and everything, that's living. Uh, Fruits would also fall under the plant category. They come from trees. So just keep that in mind for a second, and let's look at the One Piece world as a whole. Now, the One Piece world itself is completely comprised of water, to an extent that there aren't actually continents on the planet. It's all individual islands. There aren't continents that can sustain, create, or maintain life as it's been depicted so far. Um, and logic would dictate that living organisms described as the enemy of the sea just wouldn't naturally occur within a world so covered with water. Continents can't exist. So, where did the devil fruits come from? Like, where did they originate? Were they natural? Could they be a normal thing? Uh, to an extent, possibly. There's always anomalies that happen within our world, even. Um, Genetic defects, uh, birth defects, genetic mutations, things like that. Um, but that would only be like a few. But there are a shit ton of devil fruits already revealed, and we know for a fact there are a shit ton more that just aren't revealed yet. So let's look at devil fruits themselves. Everything that we know about them, or all the main things that we know about them, like how they are, and break it down and try and figure out where they come from or what they are. I think that a great place to start is by looking at the artificial devil fruits, which the key ingredient to is SAD, or SAD, which was created on Punk Hazard. It's a chemical that was created on Punk Hazard by Caesar Clown, a mad scientist. Then it was shipped over to Dressrosa, and they used it to, and then was given to the Tontatas, who the Doflamingo family had enslaved, in order to cultivate the artificial zone type devil fruits, or the smiles, which were then sold to Kaido in order to increase his strength and the beast pirates. And then there's devil fruits themselves, which are just said to be recycled souls, basically. It's basically the circle of life, except when you die, rather than just rotting in the ground, your soul goes into a fruit. Uh, it's also stated that anybody who eats a devil fruit becomes, uh, angers the gods of the sea. No matter how you look at devil fruits, through the anime logic, through whatever kind of lens you want, they just shouldn't exist. Not in the One Piece world, at least. And Oda is far too skilled a mangaka to include something that goes against the laws of nature this badly without there being some sort of payoff or explaining how they came into existence to begin with, because it's just like it's a weird thing. It stands out, and it's a great idea for a superpower and all that, but you also have to explain it or it just doesn't make sense, and it can dissatisfy your audience. Just try and keep this in mind, and we'll get back to it in a few. The second definition that Google had listed is the gradual development of something specifically from a simple to a more complex form. Now, the best example that I can come up with for this is a volcano itself. They start out as lava occasionally spewing up from the seafloor, immediately cooling the lava and turning it into a solid mass. As this happens over hundreds, thousands, millions, billions of years, these holes in the seafloor become larger and larger until they manage to rise above the sea themselves, becoming islands, continents, mountains, so on and so forth. While in the One Piece world, the largest landmass shown to contain or sustain or even create life, like plants and whatnot, are islands. Then, just for some random reason, there's this gigantic world dividing wall for no real reason across the center of the world. And that's where the Tenryubito live and all that. Not only does the wall exist, but it's referred to and represented as an indestructible object. Similar to devil fruits within the world of One Piece, it is going against evolution, meaning there is no way in hell it is formed naturally. First off, it is several thousands of meters straight up. Nothing in nature grows straight. Second, Reverse Mountain seems like it is the ocean itself fighting against the red line. As stated earlier with devil fruits, if the world made primarily of water and the ocean is fighting against something, that thing should not be. And on top of which, I'm not a geologist, but the red line is the only red stone I think I've ever seen in One Piece. I don't think any natural stone has ever been referred to as indestructible at the same time. We can infer that the red line and the devil fruits were not man-made because the poor comparison between Smiles and devil fruits. It took the world government 200 years to build the Gates of Justice using fishermen slaves, and 400 years to build what they have of Whiskey Peak, the bridge that was supposed to connect from one side of the East Blue to the other. And it was nowhere near done after 400 years. And the red line is way bigger, just taller. It wraps around the entire world. It would have taken hundreds of thousands of years. There's just no way they could have made it. Meaning they wouldn't basically when comparing the Red Line to Whiskey Peak, uh, within from the void, if they started it at the very beginning of the Void Century, they wouldn't even be 10% done with it. Meaning it was either there before the Void Century or it's just always been there. As far as always been there, I don't think that's the case because of different context clues were given, like there not being another continent on the planet. Uh, and there, we just don't have or the One Piece world just doesn't have the technology required to create devil fruits. Uh, but I do think that the Red Line and devil fruits, the creation of them both, are connected more with Eneru than the world government. I think it's possible the sky races, whom originated on the moon, had at one point the technology to create both the Red Line and devil fruits. I believe it was the creation of these that led to the fall of the City of Gold, or Shandoria. Uh, Now, I don't have any proof for this or a way to explain my thoughts. It's just the only reasonable thing I can think of. They were the only other major group that was named that may have even had a reason to do this. What it was, we don't know yet. Why it's there seems like it's simply to control the flow of traffic and gain the most control possible. And it seems hard to believe that a country that created that would fall. So maybe it was meant to be an inverse thing. Maybe it was just like a really violent time, and they were trying to find a way to dull the violence a little, and they created the Red Line or created devil fruits as a way of fighting back. And it just went sour on them really fast. Uh, that's really all I got.